Heart greeting, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Unconditional Love gathering and training with the family. We continue part 2 about discernment and conspiracy theories. So, in today's talk, we'll dive a little bit more about 5G. A lot of people have perceived, even our community, that they have some concern about 5G, and there is a lot of stories behind uh, that there is always some conspiracy theory happening somewhere, and it was coming much on the surface now in the internet that there is a lot of manipulation, and even the coronavirus, some people they said it's manipulated, and the recent talk also about uh, the 5G, and some people they are concerned, right? And what to do, how we can find our discernment, and what will we do when we are facing such information, conspiracy theory. And in the previous talk was part 1 last week. You'll find it also in the feed, in the either if you are watching Facebook group Ascension ULove community, or if you're watching it on even our page, or if you want we can send you the link. If you send the comment, we talked about more about how to find discernment, and what is the truth and what is possibility, and if we know that we are creating our reality and reality is made of us, how much we can alter our reality. Let me see if there is anyone on Zoom from the family coming to come and have a discussion. Yes, Zoom is working, Georgie. I think I shared wrong Zoom. I see what happened. Okay, apology, guys. Give me 1 second just to invite the family. And we have Georgie might join us, and Georgie has always some nice talk, nice sharing. So, continue till some other of the family come and we have some discussion, especially about 5G. And I think Georgie will be very helpful if we come online now and share with us. It turned out most of the time that some people are more techie, like me and Georgie also, and we do our own research and understanding uh, what is really being said, and if but being said about the conspiracy theories true or not, or misinformation. And back to the point is, well, we can we alter the reality in certain way if we believe so deeply that we made our reality and we can alter the timeline of our reality. And in the part 1 I discuss it in much depth, how we can uh, get our discernment and how we can maneuver through it. Let me welcome the guest and we continue with this. All right. Hello, Georgie. I was just calling for you. He's connecting his audio still. We have Rachel also. Hi, Georgie. I was just calling for you just now. I said if Georgie is here, will be a very nice discussion, especially it's about technology, and we some of us are more techie in that sense. I'm still explaining to the people a bit about the part 1, so we can have the same on the same page. We build on the same page of understanding. If we have the ability to alter our reality, and if we believe in something so deeply, would be able to create that misinformation into reality. And in part 1 I discussed this in details. Go and watch it so you can understand. If you have this question, it's a very deep question for many people who believe that, well, nothing is solid, and I am so strong creator. Can I believe in something false and created for me? The earth and the universe has a one rule, or one let me add more people so who joining. It has one of the set that make this environment, this reality, little bit still in the same direction, not chaotic. Otherwise, if everyone believes in something and just come happens to be real, then we live in chaos. So the rule said, where we know about the law of attraction, that you can attract that reality to you, but if whatever you're believing is not relevant for even your growth, or not relevant for the growth of the collective, then the big server of Mother Earth and the universe will discard that belief that you are believing from sharing it with the rest of the world. So you can still create reality in your own bubble, in your version, and start finding a truth or turning misinformation to truth in your own set of lens. But if that truth is not relevant for the collective, it will not be applied to the all. So, for example, someone, let's say, who's believing in superpower, and let's say you went to the mountain and study with some yogis or some master, and you start creating some very powerful, mystical, magical power. Like some people, they believe that they levitate, or some people they believe that they can alter certain things in the reality, or people they believe, for example, they can live without food, breatharian. If you're so deeply believe, you'll find the tools, if relevant to you, to made manifest in your reality. But it will not made manifest in the whole collective if it's not relevant for the whole collective. For example, eating for the whole collective is still relevant as part of this journey. And if we all start believing that it's benefiting for all of us, we will alter that. So, for example, about diet and other things, in my own version of reality, for example, when I was growing in my consciousness, I was believing that I'm sure there is a certain way of diet that will be so beneficial to me that no one spoke about before, and I will make manifest that possibility. Now, because it's relevant for me and relevant for the collective, I made manifest in my own version intermittent fasting. It was not popular. It was mainly people, they were saying that, or doctor will say, this is the completely opposite what we are talking about. Intermittent fasting is you literally fast on the morning and on the lunch, and you break the fasting after the lunch time, around 5, even 6, and you eat in this very small window till the night. I am the person who I eat mainly toward the evening, and then you break, then you fast again all the morning. Now I do a little bit of semi-fasting, so I take liquid a little bit on the morning, but still I break all the rules that the collective was agreeing as a doctor that you should eat the biggest meal on the morning. I don't eat the biggest meal in the morning, and the completely opposite. I eat the minimum, only liquid on the morning, all the way to the noon and afternoon, and I start eating after 4 and 5. And my biggest meal will be like around 6, 7. So that's for you to understand. And now now I put this the set that if the reality is not relevant for our growth, then it will not made manifest for the whole collective. And we'll go to the 5G, and let's ask Georgie about his opinion about 5G. Let me share a little bit before I call for Georgie to come. 5G and technology, as our evolution as a humanity, if you understand the chakras, for example, the lower chakras, the sexual chakra, the solar plexus, heart, and all this. So we are growing as consciousness from materialistic to more emotional understanding, or expanding about emotion and into mind. Recently, humanity entered in big, powerful mind growth. I would say maybe the start of 19th century, where uh, the technology is like booming up, science boom up, become so fast. We enter the period where technology become very relevant for all the collective, and that's what you see right now, that everywhere technologies just become the highest. And now we go to 5G, and I believe 5G is we're going to make a big shift in the collective. But let's talk about what is the fears about the 5G and what people talk about, where 5G is killing people, giving headache, is making us sick. Some people were connecting 5G with coronavirus. What this is a big one. And let's see, I'll ask Georgie. So tell us what you have heard, Georgie, about this, and what you think about when the people connecting, for example, 5G with coronavirus.
Hi, well, good evening, everyone. I've heard a lot of the most bizarre theories about 5G. And like you said, probably the most bizarre one I heard was relating it to coronavirus. Now, I've heard even in the past before 5G, people having fears about cell phone towers and radio waves,
Correct.
microwaves, and all that, and how it affects your body and whatnot. And I can somewhat comprehend those kind of fears because we don't really have that much study and we haven't really been
Correct.
exposed to it long enough to really know what's the long-term effect. But what we do know about that technology is that so far it actually doesn't have any negative side effects on us. What you have to worry about isn't the the radiation itself, it's the intensity of it. So I think what happens a lot is people would start, when they hear that 5G works with microwaves, they associate that with the microwave that they have at home. And the microwaves at home, we've always been taught that if you're too close or too exposed, it will damage you, which is very true. But a microwave has like 700 watts of power, while your cell phone barely has 1 watt of power. So that intensity of energy that you're talking about is completely off the charts.
Off the charts.
One end to the other. So it's kind of like saying, if you drink a lot of water, you can get sick. It doesn't mean you don't drink water. It doesn't mean water is harmful for you, right? But there's a fine balance between it. Any technology, if it's not used right or if you're not careful, can have detrimental effects. From the most basic thing, I'll start off with fire. Fire was a technology. Before we mastered fire,
Absolutely.
it used to burn down people's livelihoods, their villages, their gatherings, whatever, their communities. Once you mastered that, you learn how to protect yourself from it. You learn how to grow and evolve. So this is the exact same thing. Any technology, like I said, it's all about how you use it. 5G is, for me, the next logical phase in where humanity is going. I see technology going hand in hand with our evolution.
Absolutely. It's so relevant to our evolution, so relevant that we are in the phase of technology. And there is some other fears of that even after 5G, the technology will become so advanced that we cannot control it. And we're talking about singularity, if people understand that. And of course, the concern is valid. We're not going to discuss it, but let's touch base on that. Eventually, we reach to a certain point where we have a little bit of more fear about technology more than how to know how to use it till we break that too. And humanity always goes into those phases. When we invent something similar what Georgie was mentioning about the fire, we were so afraid of it, 100%. But every time we master something, we know how to integrate it. And there is something special about human consciousness. We are the most in adaptation and evolution. We are the best. If you look at the planet, that's what makes us special. And that's something is very relevant on the collective consciousness, not only as me, my opinion, or Georgian opinion. You have to look at history and look how the evolution of consciousness and how we are mastering technology. And every time we master technology, we evolve higher and higher. And let before we continue this, because it's very important to me, and I want to go into it again, but I want you to talk about what you have heard about connecting 5G and the coronavirus, because I have heard this many times, and some people they will go and give you proof, and the proof of the opposite that it's completely false, it's also already there, but they don't talk about it. What you have heard and how you can debunk this.
Well, okay, I never got really proof for this, or I never really heard anything that constitutes as proof. But they were saying that, that the virus gets carried and transmitted through the 5G connections. And so you're now talking about a virus being transmitted through radio frequency, through electromagnetic, like EM waves. Basically, everything around you, the sun, everything, the light bulb, those all emit EM waves, electromagnetic waves.
Correct.
The really interesting one was that it assists with evaporating the water from your system and preventing your cells from holding in oxygen, or your blood cells from holding oxygen.
Something like this, correct.
Yeah, which is why you start to suffer. And that's how it gets you, and they're hiding it behind the coronavirus. Again, it's a very simple way of debunking this. Let's look at the world around us. This virus has affected every single country that we know of. And for a fact, 85% of those countries don't even have 5G technology yet.
Correct. One of them, the major one that's known, Iran.
Exactly.
It has the biggest coronavirus and they have zero 5G.
And the other thing is, the other really interesting thing about it is a lot of countries that do have it right now. What people don't realize about 5G is it actually works on a lot of different frequencies, right?
Correct.
And right now, the easiest way to enroll it and take it out, which is what they have in the US, as far as I'm aware, is they're using the same frequency range that the 4G uses, which everyone has access to. So they're piggybacking on that network right now. So in reality, you're not working in a different
Tower or different
yeah,
technology.
yeah,
They
yeah,
are just boosting their same towers on
yeah.
on changing a little bit of frequency so they can utilize it as 5G.
So again, that's the misconcept. That's like, okay, we have 5G, true, but do you know 5G is a very in-depth and very elaborate world. It's not just a simple, oh, I'm using this frequency at that speed and the story. No, there's a lot more to it, like all these protocols. And a lot of the towers, I remember you mentioning previously that, in some countries they burn down towers for
Correct.
5G.
Actually, in London, I heard in the
Yeah,
news that some people they went up to the tower, gathered around it, burn it, and then went out. I
yeah,
mean,
but those were like 4G towers that they burned down. Like they weren't even 5G towers to begin with. Uh, I think this is what I think. It's my humble opinion. I think individuals are very rational. You can always discuss and have a very rational conversation with one or two people, but it's very easy to create panic and hysteria in a crowd.
correct.
And I
That's the
think this
thing.
is what happens.
Yeah, most of the time, when people they come with conspiracy theory, they are reflecting the rage and the fear that they are carrying for centuries about everything else. And the moment they found an opportunity to express that rage and that anger and that potential that there is someone manipulating outside, which is correct. There is some people they do not have the good intention. They exist, and there is a reason why they exist. And every time we don't know what to do, how we defend ourselves, we don't know that our power is in our us, and they are made available, those people or those polarity, for us to learn and experience the spectrum of life. And they're giving us all the time the opportunity to master our own strengths, master our own manifestation, master our own true power, which is your soul, your consciousness, your presence, not always to blame outside. So every time anyone they have not reached that level of mastery, they have not reached to always look within and get the power, the divine power within. What they do, their pain body, they call it pain body. It's a very deep concept being proposed by Eckhart Tolle. The pain body that carried through century, that there is always someone bad, there is someone putting intention bad, the government is against me, da da da, the money is difficult, I cannot survive. Every time they found a place to express their rage, they amplify it. And this is also valid, to be honest, because it's a spectrum of life. Eventually, we should, as a humanity, as individual, also raise your frequency and not give it power, and give the power back to yourself and to the love and to your consciousness and to your presence. So when we withdraw our attention from them, they don't have too much reflection, and there by default they will subside. And that's their role, to tell you how much you will be affected by me, how much you'll be triggered by my own fears that I'm raging right now. Would you still love me unconditionally? Would you find your balance and presence? This is what I discussed in part one. Please watch it, guys, if you want to understand in part one. This is the most important part, is all those spectrum from all the fears and people having have a lot of bad intention, to all the beauty and angelic and people who's mastering life, and very loving people sacrificing themselves for others. The spectrum is what make this life rich, and give us the opportunity as a human consciousness to evolve and learning the choice. If you don't have that spectrum, it's easy. And I will tap into my channeling. I'm connecting and my traveling through many astral travel, or with the guidance to meeting other parallel reality. And there is many planet, or many civilization, or many lives, if you want to say it, that life is much better, much easier, much loving, and people there always loving, which is lovely. I would love to live there. But in certain part, this kind of reality, it give growth for consciousness, it give power, it give strength of how you will master yourself with this expanded spectrum from all the negative to all the positive, and they always exist. But eventually, when I will reach to my own mastery and Georgie reach his own mastery and everyone start evolving, and we are evolving right now, we are entering something called ascension time. We are completing this old cycle of we need to keep going against each other and experiencing. We reach to a point where we don't, it doesn't trigger us anymore. It doesn't, it doesn't shake us anymore. We master it. At that moment, that spectrum of polarity will subside because it doesn't teach us anything anymore. And we are entering that phase. We could finish it in a couple of years, we could finish it in, I don't know, 100 years, I don't know. It's up to humanity collective consciousness, but we are entering something called ascension time, evolving in all the aspect, spiritually, technology, emotionally, connecting with higher realms. All this is picking up right now at the peak.
I mean, I 100% agree with you, obviously. Personally, I used to be really big on conspiracy theories when I was younger. I spent a lot of time invested in them, thinking there's something very conspicuous going on. But
Correct.
the more you read, and this is where I think trying as much as you can to read up about anything, about any topic, be it history, science, technology, the more you read, the more resources you have, you can start putting together bits and pieces where you won't know the complete truth, obviously, all the time, but you can start to rationalize what makes sense and what doesn't, you know, and you can start to add things, and it makes life a lot easier, to be honest. Like, you don't get caught up with it. But sorry, there's something that Rachel just posted about the
Yes,
5G towers.
she's talking about the towers. Is look, they look different. That's how
Yeah.
you would identify them.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, it's true. When I said earlier that 5G has a very big spectrum of frequencies, a lot of the demonstrations that they show is for the really high frequency range, which they call millimeter waves. So these basically require very special towers. And yet they're smaller and they emit signals, but they cannot penetrate or go long distance. So that's why they have a lot of them in specific areas. But this is not going to be like a feasible thing to use all over the world. If you live outside of the main city, when houses and farms are so far apart, having that kind of setup doesn't work. And that's why they still use the 4G technology, which is what the US started off with. It's just like your Wi-Fi. When you're at home in your living room, your Wi-Fi is fine. Step outside into your front yard, you lose the signal. But your radio, if you're in your living room or if you're in your front yard,
wherever you go,
because those have a different frequency and they have a bigger range. They're not as strong, or they don't transmit as fast, but they have a wider range. You know, it's just the pros and cons of, let's say, the spectrums that we work with. So, but everything, I'll say this, all the radio frequencies that we work with are what they call below the ionizing level. And as long as it's
ionizing.
If it's not ionizing, that means you're more or less, it's actually safe. Ionizing frequencies go above the vision spectrum, what we can see. So I think when you go into gamma and X-rays, those are the things that you have to worry about, which obviously we don't use for our daily technology.
And coming to this also about, yes, so the research and how much study the humanity. Yes, we know sometimes because of the business and this aspect of people, they are more greedy. So I don't want to call them that they are by nature are evil people. Some people, they are just businessmen. They're just concerned about the money, and they're not concerned about the health, for example. So those people will do their best to come closer to that. What bring me more money? I don't care about safety. And this is what many people, they are afraid of, that maybe the research is being manipulated toward benefiting the people who's bringing money, the corporate. That's correct. But that's also part of our evolution. And would you guys still buy into the fear outside or buy in fear inside if you want to learn this? And to be honest, one of the research that many doctors, they put outside and they do their own best, that people are really know what they are doing. Dr. Markella, I think his name, and he was mentioning that when your mobile picking up signal and receiving call, it's the highest peak of the radiation, and he measured that the radiation that he thinks it could have potential of harm, and he proved it in certain way. He didn't say that literally harm. He said it can put potential. If you keep it for a long time, it can create what he said, a certain internal heat, and that might can be affect you. If you put the phone directly on your ears and you are receiving the call and you stay for a long period of time, for a repetitive time, it can create a little bit of internal heat, and that can create, which is heat, it can affect your cells. So basically, your normal mobile, if you don't use wire or Bluetooth, you putting the mobile on your ears, and you know how many people they put their mobile on their ears directly while they're receiving call? A lot. And those people are in the most potential harm than anything else, to be honest, and they're doing fine. They don't care. I think this information is being told many times. They don't care and they're fine. Nothing happened to them. The body has ability to heal also. So it's not really for harmful that the most potential harmful. I mean, you have to see those points also. And if you are not aware of this, please start using headset or Bluetooth, and don't use the mobile on your ears, especially if you're having long call. If it's short call, it will not affect you. Long call, it will affect you. It has the potential to create an internal heat. And if you have the call for 2 hours, let's say, which is happens easily, you will have a headache. And you said, "Oh, I have headache. Maybe I talked a lot." No, you put the mobile so close for 2 hours on your ears. That was the reason. So these all the understanding, and you have to decipher between those truths, and the ultimately come back to about conspiracy theory. And I want to ask Georgie, because he read about other conspiracy theory. I'm going to tap a little bit about flat earth. I love this topic. Generally, one of the way to do your discernment is call to yourself, is it trigger me? Is I'm afraid? Do I don't know? If you don't know, then it's calling for you to know, because we are in the age of knowing and information is out there. You'll find someone talking positive, you find someone talking negative, and find someone talking in between. And you have to use your discernment. And if you use your mind and you still don't know, it's calling for you to use your wisdom or universal wisdom. Maybe it's time to learn how to not use only the limitation of the mind and connect with the universal wisdom. Meditate on it. Connect with your higher self. Connect with the universal wisdom. See how some other wisdom come and direct your direction. It's always calling for your growth. And then go to the next level and see if the person talking about this conspiracy theory, is he's presenting it in a certain way that is triggering fear and emphasizing on fears, and then making it as if to create rage and concern and amplify the fears. Most probably, if that is the presentation, it sounds conspiracy theory, and it sounds that person is trying to manipulate even his own information that he's giving. I will raise question mark if the person doing that. And most of those conspiracy things that I've seen, if it's not balanced, if it's not showing all those possibility and the negative aspect, the middle one, and the positive what you can do, then that person is just emphasizing fears. That it sound conspiracy rather than just theory. So take that in account. If the person does not provide something as a positive aspect, or something neutral, or empower you that you can have the choice to how to affect this or how to raise your voice, then he's emphasizing your fears, then he's playing that part. And that's one of the way to discern. And back again, if you still don't know, if you have research I haven't found, maybe it's time to go spiritual a bit and find, shall I ask my higher self? Should I ask higher wisdom? Do I think that I'm disconnecting from the universe, that this source who created me or I've been created in this universe just put me here to just suffer? If that's your belief system, I would raise a question for your belief system and question that too. Would you think that only those evil will control us and we are helpless and we have nothing else to do? Then why is that? Why is that belief system you're carrying? What you can do about it? Maybe come to our Unconditional Love project, join the meditation and find the power within, and find this wisdom that comes. So here I will ask about Georgie, for example. How many times you have seen some conspiracy theory that all fears, especially about flat Earth? I mean, sometime I will ask myself, how on the earth they come up with flat Earth?
No, I see it quite often, and actually I have people that will send me videos and then ask for my opinion about
Correct.
it. Not just like the flat Earth, just any conspiracy theory. Just because I do have this interest in, like I said, in reading up about ancient cultures, history, evolution, stuff like that. So, almost anything that any of those videos that come out or these articles, there's an agenda behind it. It's an individual's agenda. Someone has this opinion. He wants to portray a certain image, and he will do everything he can to focus on what he wants to present. You
Correct.
know, uh, for me, there's no one source that's always the absolute truth. You have to read everything, or read as much as you can, and put together. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. But the conspiracy theory ones, they are fully based on triggering fears
Correct.
in humanity. That's all they focus on is, and even with like the music that they play in the background, while they're explaining certain
They do
concepts.
it very well. They just like
No,
they
production
put the
wise,
time and effort just to play with our emotion, and we have some this of weaknesses in our consciousness, in our body, in our way of mind perceiving that if the music is spooky, if he put some picture that sounds true or fearful, we buy into it. Even that if you're conscious that you don't believe what he's saying, somehow is manipulating those small senses that we have. It's like he's putting some smell, to be honest. Like it's like he's triggering certain things for you to buy into and find yourself at the end of the video. It's like, I'm really afraid. I got you. What shall I do? Yeah, go ahead, Georgie.
uh, you know, uh, the I think you basically covered it, like in terms of and how the production is all set. And again, like, I don't necessarily think that these people are doing this intentionally to create fear. I think they're probably thinking that, oh, we're trying to enlighten the world, but they
Yes,
themselves,
and their soul of maybe in their heart,
yeah,
maybe they think that they are benefiting people. Now,
yeah,
also, I can guess some of them when they become a bit more famous, that someone else will start manipulating them to continue their fear because it's benefiting other, let's say,
probably, yeah.
business. It become influencer. If you are influencer, someone will reach you and say, you know what, you've been talking,
Yeah.
you've created good fears enough, people are following you. Come, put more, but direct it to my product, please. Put my product.
And it's probably true. I mean, but I think what happened. I mean, conspiracy theories have been around for a very long time. It's not something that's new. But I think why they've become so prominent lately is just because everyone has been stuck in at home. So I think most of the world has been behind their computer or on their phone, nonstop for the past 3 or 4 months. So before, when you were working, 8 hours in a day, you might miss half the stuff that gets posted. So
Correct.
it doesn't click. Now you're getting stuff all the time, and you have the time to look at it. And they will show photos that aren't associated with what they're talking about. They'll take photos that are out of context, photos that have nothing to do with the topic itself, but it fits what they want to portray. It's like I said, in terms of production, they do a great job.
Correct. I would love to still cover more about the flat Earth. It's because maybe in another topic, maybe we can do part three, because some of the people who present the conspiracy theory, they bring some correct information, I would say. So yes, there is some people around the world, they don't have good intention. Yes, there is some manipulation on banking system, on pharmaceutical for their own business. Correct. But that's a human nature in that sense of following the ego. So I will not say we as human, we are like this. When we are stuck in the ego, yes, we become like this. But we as a human, we can overcome the limitation of the ego. So it's not. So I don't want to stamp all humanity that they are stuck in the ego. Anyone spiritual who have transcend the limitation of the ego is not in that category. But majority of the humanity, they still stuck in ego. It's a program. It's made in it. It's available in our mind to for us to create personality and grow, and we read and information from the environment and the learning from the family, school, society, all this. So it's a very useful program for individual to raise to grow as a human in society. So that's program, that's its job. But that program, because it's a program, it's not us, and we are so grained into that program, and we become so disconnected from our spiritual nature. We think that this is it and this is us, and we become so fixated about my personality, my name, and my ego. And once we reach here, well, then of course the ego will tell you, you have to take care of yourself, everyone else outside is against you, do your best to manipulate them, and become program running all the time. If you stuck like this, yeah, it becomes your nature basically. And that's why spirituality or unconditional love or all those well-being, who's teaching you mindfulness, all this kind of concept is to take you, free you from the ego, so you can get your own sense back as a human, as soul, as consciousness. So those flat earths, what they present, that we are manipulated, da, da, da. And I'm saying correct. And they said, well, there is a lot of misinformation. Correct, there is a lot of information. Pharmaceutical are always for their benefit, and they are lying to us. Yeah, correct. There are lot of lies, but that's a part of the spectrum for you to choose, and so on and so on. And then they said, well, we are living on one plane, flat Earth, and they want to hide it for you so they can't control you. 1 minute. Now you link something, nothing to do with what you just said, and you make it true. So yes, there is this spectrum of negativity. Yes, there is some people who's into the business, and they don't care about the rest, and they're stuck in their ego. Yes, and then and it's flat Earth. 1 minute. What just happened?
I think the flat Earth came out because there was this trust in NASA in the U.S.
Correct. That's one of the things. Correct.
Yeah, and I mean, to be quite honest, I don't expect me as an individual for NASA to tell me everything that they know. I think it's within any institution's right to hide what they think is critical and vital information. There's a lot that goes on that we're unaware of, and it gets disclosed years later. Just because they don't disclose everything doesn't mean they're lying, about the most basic stuff in humanity. I mean, if this were a lie, over 2,500 years, it's been ongoing, like since the ancient Greeks. It's, to be quite honest, if it's a lie, it's very impressive.
Exactly. It's very nice what you mentioned, that, Georgie, that as lying or conspiracy, we're not talking about conspiracy theory right now that we know and we see it. It's happening all the time in humanity history. It's all the time. It's nothing new. But at that time, there is no internet, so no one knows in population about one idea. But from the ancient Greece, as you mentioned, ancient history, someone who manipulated someone and took the throne, or someone killed someone, invaded. This is happening all the time. There's nothing new on it. And I want to emphasize all this happening because of this part of the spectrum for this growth, for us to overcome the limitation of our ego and its strengths, for our spiritual strengths, to discern, to know what I call it divine quality. How you'll master divine love, divine will, divine wisdom, instead of mastering your ego or mastering your limitation of your ego.
But I will say I think one of the good things about these conspiracy theories, right, is I think it encourages people to actually start looking up topics.
Correct.
So in a way, it goes from, I'm going to present this information that's not true and try to scare you, to people actually empowering themselves.
Correct. It open up doors for people start questioning, and it's a good thing. And I mentioned before the topic, I don't know if you were there, and I was starting and said, if you've been faced by conspiracy and it's triggering you, it's actually calling for your attention, not to ignore it. Do not ignore it. It's calling for attention. I don't know this information. I think it's calling for me to know this information. One way is to send it to Georgie or to me and ask their opinion. I know that. And that's why we're doing this video. Or some other friend that you think, I think this person is knowledgeable for this part. Let me ask his opinion. Or you go on the internet and find the spectrum between negative people talking about it, people in neutral, people are positive. And now you have knowledge. Now you have your own truth. And that's a good thing. and you start even questioning some old stuff that maybe no one still talk about it, and old stuff that maybe those old stuff are, you're taking it as belief system, taking it for truth blindly, and they are not actually true, and you are blinding yourself for all this life toward direction that's harming you, and maybe that harm come from that belief system, and maybe it's not conspiracy theory, but you have taken it for granted. The example, for example, human nature is bad. No, the ego limitation. The ego limitation is a program run that said you are alone, you have to create your persona, and you are separated from the universe, and everything else is against you. You need to protect yourself. Yes, if you stay with this, everything is against you. You are in war all the time. It's protective program when you need it, but if it make it run the show, oops, you are in war all the time. So those details maybe start questioning, and then you start going online to find another answer, and that open up other things. I hope that when you're searching online, you're not finding all the people who's talking only about conspiracy. Look of the people who's talking about positivity or real information or neutrality. Find the full spectrum and practice your own divine wisdom, discernment. Connect, meditate on it, learn how to connect, and see what makes sense to you, what resonate with you, and how you can guide yourself and empower yourself. We have a comment here. It's a bit long. I couldn't able to read it. And the comment from Rachel again. So she said that there online there is a lot of platform that talking about consciousness and empowering. And at the same time, after saying this, beside that, they're saying that COVID is overrated. In one way, is correct. Some aspect of COVID is overrated. So after all what happened with the coronavirus, they realized that any healthy individual who pick up coronavirus, if your immune system is strong enough and healthy enough, not even strong enough, healthy enough, 2 weeks is your time and you will be cured. And they've talked about it many times. Now, some cases when your immune system is weak, or you have special case, or you are old, here it's get tricky. And because they don't know the cure, it gets so tricky. But generally, I know some people that they are close enough, I would say, as relative. They picked it up, and in 2 weeks they are fine, and their body created antibody, and they didn't have almost 10, less than 10% than the story that they said. They get a little bit of fever, lost the smell and taste, and in 2 weeks is gone. That's it. Literally, that's it. So yes, correct. Let's continue what she's talking about. Controlling human consciousness and keeping it in certain frequency. So they're talking about 5G can control human consciousness and keep it frequency. You know what? It's a very interesting this statement. If there is a frequency can control my consciousness, I would question what does mean consciousness to me. I mean, if there is anything outside that can control my divine self, my connection to the universe, I'll question source itself. I'll question like why source will allow such a thing that have no power. Any moment you find something that you have no power against, question it. It's not possible. You will be presented by the universe with something you have no power whatsoever to go out of it or to reflect it or to dissolve it. It's just not possible. It does not fit in the spectrum that I'm talking about, that we always have this two aspect, and it's our divine self to find our own truth and our power. The universe is not stupid enough, or the creator is not to create something that it can kill you without you finding a way to survive and grow, unless if you have belief in your own fears. That's the question I would say. I mean, we know that we many people who meditate, they have their guide, their higher self. You have even star family if you want to go deeper. I mean, this question that question that if your soul, if your higher self, your group soul doesn't, if he knows that you are for sure 100% there is no way you can take yourself out of this, wouldn't give you a nudge and help in certain way? Or wouldn't you, they do not agree on that manifestation? Remember when I said anything to manifest in your reality has to be relevant to our evolution. Even if eventually we so dumb up that we decide our evolution to kill ourselves, then that's our own decision still too, as a collective. Now, I don't think we will agree on that. We will not do that. So rest assured. Otherwise, we've been in many situations we will literally going to kill it ourselves, and we passed that. Let's talk about World War I and World War II and nuclear. Nuclear bomb is 100% killable. That's what something you can be really afraid of than any rest of things. Okay, let's continue the reading. They actually asked me the question if want they inform me about everything. This I didn't get it, and all my friend recovered. Yes, so yeah, Rachel, if you want to share online, I'm trying to read it. There is some missing here, but good. I read some part of it and I shared my opinion. How do you think about it, Georgie? About if there is anything outside that way more powerful than anything that you can imagine, and you have no clue to do it, wouldn't you question it? Wouldn't you question existence itself? Wouldn't you question source?
Well, yeah, to be quite honest, yeah, at this point, I'm at a stage where I can't picture anything having that much control over me as an individual. You know,
Correct.
uh, uh, I mean, let's say even if we're talking about certain things that, let's say, certain frequencies can control certain aspects of your body or how your body reacts. I know. I mean, humans, we're designed to adapt. We adapt to everything. So what works today, sooner or later, my body will learn how to fight it and resist it and adapt to it. There's nothing that is let's say,
Unadaptable.
yeah,
Or
you can't, yeah, there's nothing that you can't overcome, basically, in that regard. And I think people just need to have a bit more faith and trust in themselves when they're looking at all of this stuff. You have to be very reasonable and obviously very conscious and considerate. You can't just think, oh, I'm invincible and go out and do whatever you want, because that's not also how it
correct.
works. But you shouldn't you you should respect what goes on around you, but you shouldn't be afraid of what goes on around you. I think that's a big thing. And it's always
Correct.
good to be aware of, let's say, the pros and cons of anything, potential side effects. That's normal for any situation that you're in, because any decision that you make, any action that you take, there's a consequence to it. That's the reality of it. But yeah, we should trust ourselves and we shouldn't operate through fear. I think
Beautiful.
we should operate through
Beautiful
respect,
said.
and we are, like, we know who we are. Our bodies are very powerful. We are strong individuals. And whatever comes your way, you'll find a solution for it.
Beautiful said, Georgie. And here it came to me to remind with another aspect. I love to talk to George, especially on those technology and conspiracy theory, because he has a very balanced way of finding discussion and putting out the encouragement and empowerment, and a very balanced way. Very nice. Thank you, Georgie. It reminded me also to when he was talking about don't operate out of fears and know yourself, know your power. And here I raise the question, maybe some people you are watching, bit spiritual or maybe not spiritual, maybe raise the question, would you try to see what spirituality offer to you, what your consciousness or believing in your power offer to you? Maybe research, as you are researching some conspiracy theory, research something called remote viewing. It's there even in the navy or the US army. They use remote viewing. There is a, a sector who train to do remote viewing, and remote viewing based on astral travel. Literally, it's based on all the concept of new age and spirituality that you heard about. And those people, they believe it, and they train some of the military to do that. And what they do is they believe that this reality and all the thought of this reality, and this basically, so this reality is not really fixed the way that we think, and the thought and all the memory and all the vision of the reality is available all the time. That's what they believe as a part of astral projection and remote viewing. And if you fine tune enough to allow your consciousness to remote view, literally remote view, so you send your view remotely to any moment in time, past or future, or now, you can look at the log or the memory or Akashic record if you want to go spiritual about it. and read it and extract information about that incident and bring it as an information. Can you imagine that military they do have? Go and research it. You'll find that they have a full sector. They do that, and they some of this general that they teach this. They teach it publicly online. That you can go and you learn it online. You can have a course to learn how to do remote viewing and astral projection. This raises a question of, well, spirituality is not div- separated from science, or maybe we call it quantum physics. And maybe it's time for humanity to be open to those concepts. Maybe you can come and join us to learn remote viewing, or I'm not teaching remote viewing right at the moment. I was teaching astral travel. Maybe it's time for you to learn astral travel. And Georgie was part of the DMT. We're not there in the astral travel. In the astral travel, we train in 2 weeks, the group of the Unconditional family, to train this body to sleep and relax and raise the energy and send the consciousness and meet in the astral and do some energy work and connect with the higher self. And once you do astral travel, a lot of those doubt melt. Why? Because if you are able to witness or experience out of body experience and see that how malleable the reality, all your perception how much about how much fixed and how much fears is here, it just dissolves. Like, this is definitely, it's just a play, and I am way bigger and more powerful than all those limitations. And that's something you need to experience. You need to train with the astral travel. Rahuf is here. Let's see if Rahuf, she want to add some comment or anything. Let me see also if on the Facebook group we have any comment also. Otherwise, we can go to the last part about the vision of the 5G. In my humble exploration, Darhuv is here. In my humble exploration about the 5G, I believe it's so relevant for humanity to continue evolving in technology. It is highly, highly relevant. And I went up and I asked my higher self, I traveled to check on my own connection, my own truth. And one vision I've seen, and some channelers who have I listened to, they talked about timelines. We talk about this many times about timelines. That in one of the many timelines for the humanity, we super evolve super fast when we developed the 5G. And they show, or what I seen, that very similar how the internet become something revolutionary, and we expand all our consciousness when we have internet. We can connect. Everything changed when internet came on the picture. Not immediately, couple of years after, till internet become popular. 5G will be the same. Wait for a couple of years till become improved, enhanced, everyone has it. Developer all around the world, they will be crazy developing stuff because they have the power of the 5G now. It will open up doors that I cannot imagine right now because I haven't seen it yet. What you can control in your house, what you can control in your environment, what you can reach, where you can reach, where you can affect, the amount of data, the amount of information, it will definitely up jump humanity collective consciousness. Rahuf, welcome. What do you like to share with us? I don't know if you heard the whole topic
No,
from
I
the
didn't.
beginning. So we're talking in general about the conspiracy theories and empowering yourself and how you decipher, determine and discern if the person is so into negativity, question mark, he's focusing on one aspect. And it's raising the question for the people also to have their own questioning. Okay, if I've been triggered by this fears, by this theory, then let me get knowledge, let me research. And there's always people in the middle, and people positive and people are negative. But sometimes you find a lot of people negative. I got it, because those are the trigger one and they're becoming famous. Otherwise, all of them are available, but maybe the middle one is not famous. No one is putting light maybe on their page.
Mm.
So this is, and especially about 5G and flat Earth. I don't know if you heard about flat Earth,
Oh,
Rahuf.
definitely I did. Yes, yes.
Yes. So,
Yes.
what do you think? We were discussing, and Georgie gave a beautiful analogy and beautiful sharing also. And I know you also one of those pillar of excited pillars. Like, I would like to talk about these kind of things. So, what do you like to
Yeah.
share?
So what I would like to say, like in general, if we're again talking about conspiracies, it's as you said, we can always search and try to find knowledge. And now I'm talking about things that might be correct or not. Like theories about something that might happen in the future. Then in that case, I would say yes, all of that is possibilities, but there are also probabilities. So we give the probability the strength to make it bigger, that this might happen more by us again dropping into fear and giving it more power to happen, to manifest, rather than instead dropping into our light, into our love, and into our high frequencies and high energy, and facing it with that, and actually spreading it, and in that case weakening it, like making it weaker. Of course, that's in case we don't want that to occur, right? Now, yeah, again, in terms of other theories about facts, now that it can either be right or wrong, it's not about possibilities that might happen in the future. For me, like, yeah, I mean, there are people, I mean, I can search the internet and I can tell you why smoking is very healthy, right? You can always search something and you can find answers to support it or not.
Yeah.
But after all,
You
I
can pull.
believe,
In that sense, it's like
yes,
you're pulling information and twist it to your
exactly,
favor and say, okay,
exactly.
see, so smoking is good because I'm
Yeah, it's
I'm
very
I'm, I'm
good,
loving myself. If I
Yes.
love myself, I smoke.
Yeah, I mean, there are two ways. Either that I'm searching to support what I believe is right, and I'm closed-minded, and I don't want to see all other possibilities, and then really be open-minded and check what is really making sense, and then choose it. Or I'm searching to just prove that I'm right, and then
Correct.
stubborn, and then I'll find it. I'll find all the answers to prove me right as well. But
Correct.
then the people should ask really themselves that what am I really looking for, to prove that I'm right or to really find the truth? And that's probably what I would like to say now, that, yeah,
Beautiful
if you
said,
really want to
Rahuf.
find the truth, you will find it.
Beautiful said. It's a two comment here. It's 2 point very very valid, very important that you mentioned. I would like to remind everyone when Rahaf she's saying, and maybe I'll ask her again because she's good in this one of the point, which is when you find some negativity and you are not happy with it, and let's say you research and you didn't know what to do, and you see that that's panic, that's fear is spreading. Any conspiracy theory, instead of buying into fears and feeding that fears, say to yourself, what can I do as positive side? What can I do so I can shift that possibility or probability, in that sense of shifting my timeline, to turn it into positive, instead of how can I fight it? Every time you go into the fight, you're adding more energy to the fight itself, and you created it in your reality more and more, and it starts coming back to you. You find yourself finding those video more and more, and maybe even find that proof in your reality to prove those videos right, because you are so focused on it and putting all your energy on it. And the instant what you do, as Rahuf said, is let me focus, what can I bring positivity, how can I shift this timeline to bring people attention from this probability so it doesn't happen as probability, and I bring another probability which is more positive so people can focus on it. So Rahuf, for example, she has a page called Kalam Salam. In English means the peace walk, peace talk. And she started that page at the peak of the war in the Middle East. When the war was at the peak, she started at the page and she posts all about peace and love and how we can stay positive. And you can imagine how many people they were just bombarding Rahuf and comment, "What are you doing? It's fight and it's all about the war." And she stayed there doing all her best to bring all the people to the positive side. Instead of feeding the fears, instead of fighting what is the fight about, she said, I'm going to focus on the other aspect, how you can be centered, how you can find the peace within, how you can talk about peace, because peace can dissolve war. War cannot dissolve war. War create war and war and war, and revenge, revenge, revenge. You know the story. Even if it didn't come immediately and you think that you won the war, after generation, it will come back to you, slapping you in your face. Where peace, it come back into you with more peace. Perfect. What you put out, you receive, basically. This is one of the comment which is Rahuf, she mentioned. And I would like to ask her, uh, how you find your strengths, or how you find your determination when this happened, to stay in the positivity, and tell the people what you have faced when you started that page.
Actually, probably what I would like to tell everybody is that it's very natural and very normal for us as a human being to feel doubt, to feel fear, to feel anger, to feel all these kind of feelings. So denying it is not what we are talking about. Like if I'm feeling fear, I'm not saying no, no, I'm spiritual and I want to be positive and I don't want to drop into fear, so I'll deny that I am in fear. That's exactly not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if I feel that something is occurring in my reality, or thoughts are coming, or somebody's telling me something and it's triggering that fear or whatever feelings that I might feel, that is telling me, look, there is something that you need to look at. Maybe there is something that you need to learn, there is something that you need to grow, there is something that you need to do. So it's either that telling me, okay, drop into fear and surrender, don't do anything, or there is something that you can do about it and you have the power. And that's where like we should take an action. Either we surrender and we say, okay, I cannot do anything and whatever will happen, or I say, okay, there are forces who are trying to move things in that direction, but there are also the light and love and caring forces that either would do nothing and then let those forces win, or we do something and drag it towards light and love and whatever we want to go towards. So that's really telling us that the more we practice and the more we grow, the more we become in number as well, and the more we put our energies together, then the more impact we can have in our reality and in the collective reality as well. So yeah,
Beautiful.
that's really usually my thought, and this is why I wanted, I started my page. This is why now I started doing some videos. I believe that yes, definitely I need to focus on myself and restore my energy and increase it and do my own practices. But then whenever I do it and I see how amazing it is and how like the miracles are happening in my reality and how it changed my life and even the life of people around me, I really would like to share this with everybody else, and I really would like them to benefit from it, and I would like the circle to grow bigger and bigger until it becomes the normal thing on earth. And this is really like what
Correct.
my target was and is still.
Beautiful, Rahul. Thank you. Beautiful. So, very similar to the concept to emphasize on Rahuf's comment. I hope that you get empowered and inspired by Rahuf's story and how her way of dealing with the negativity, not ignoring it, just processing it and knowing that calling for her action and still focusing on positivity and witnessing the miracle when you focus on the positivity and doing goodness in your life. There is a story about the two wolf. I believe that many people heard about it. So it's an old story when they teach, they said, well, you have two wolves within you. One is dark one, which is negative, one is positive one, which is a white one, which is positive. And they said, well, both of them are growing. Which one of them you think will win? And then the disciple or the student will say, well, I don't know. Or you answer said, the one who will win, the one you feed the most. If you keep feeding the positive one, eventually will win because it's stronger. If you stop feeding negative one, it get weaker and weaker. The same concept that Rahuf is mentioning. If you feed the fears, it will win in you. It will start manifesting in your reality. If you feed the power, the love, the light within you, the positivity, it will just flourish. And here it comes also to what you put out, you receive, law of attraction, all these. And I was giving a lecture also in Arabic, and I'm start using this quote recently more and more than before, which is quote from Einstein. Einstein said, "We cannot solve our problem with with the same thinking that created them, and the only way to solve it is to raise your thinking and consciousness into higher level than the level that's created the problem." And that is like a formula, like universal formula. It's saying that every time you see some problem around you, it's telling you, I am here because you have not raised enough. You are not in your path of evolution. I am here actually to remind you, continue your evolution, raise your frequency, raise your consciousness, raise your way of thinking in order to solve me. And it's like literally a path of evolution, and we are always in that path of evolution. And whatever you see around you, negativity or problems. And today also we've done also another video, full video of like 1 hour and 15 minutes with Didi on the morning. It's also available in all the pages, Facebook page and our page if you want the link. It was focusing on uh, facing challenges with inner peace and strength. And it was beautiful. And I put all those example. Any kind of challenges, career challenges, fear challenges, changes, unknown. Your solution is to not condemn it and ignore it and just give your power. It's there to tell you it's a time to look differently, to go out of the box, out of the comfort zone, because there is something in you need to open. You need to continue your evolution. Everything change. Even your when you're stuck in the career, you don't need to be in the fears like this is the only thing I do, and if I lost it, I lost everything. Maybe something open, new opportunity will open up, and that's always the case with the earth and with the evolution. Things has to go, new things has to open. When you look at it from that perspective as a formula of Einstein, everything around you doing its best to remind you to keep evolving. When you do that, you'll find yourself, you do not require, as I mentioned in that video, please, if you want to watch it, it's so deep, you would not require from the reality and the universe to remind you with negative aspect. If you continue reminding yourself and working on your evolution, as Rahuf saying, work on yourself, working on your power, working on your love. If you continue doing that, as you're saying to the universe, you do not need to remind me to bring me negative event, because I am always in my evolution. I do not require this reminder. Thank you. And then universe said, okay, well, only those negative aspect is just to remind you to continue your growth. Then you can continue your growth without the need. It's very similar to also uh, the student who's studying well in the class. If you study less in the class and you're not doing your part, you'll find difficulties in the class. If you study well, you don't feel that the homework is hovering, you don't feel that anyone is going to punish you because you are in the top, you are going in the best direction of your own evolution. The same concept. Beautiful. I hope we cover everything. Rachel, you want to say something as you are joining us?
I had many things to say, but I think it's a
Maybe we'll
little
keep
bit
them to part three. Let us know and
yes,
see if we can open those topic to part three.
yes, because like I've been at home, so I've been looking up so much information in the past
So much
3 months.
information. Yeah.
So
Similar to what Georgie said, that we have a lot of time now to see a lot of those stories and videos online, and now my God, all the conspiracy theory there. Well, always there, but now it's amplified because everyone is home and watching and liking and questioning and so on. Continue.
yes, yes. So I think it would be great if I can just message you and talk about what I feel and then
Sure.
what I see, and then we can
Yes,
talk.
and we can add it to part three, and if we have the musketeer again in part three, it will be lovely to discuss those details. Maybe I'll share it with you with them, and we discuss them. Yes, right now it's 1 hour and 15 minutes, and it's very good talk, and we reached to the point where it's concluded and strong, and everyone in a positive note, I would say. Thank you for watching. And if you guys having any question from the community, these talks are part of Unconditional Love Sunday training. So it's made for the community, for Facebook group community Unconditional Love, for a register community Unconditional Love. It's made for you, for empowering you, for you also when you're hearing it, you know what to do when you're receiving those conspiracy theory or those questioning, and you know how to answer other people, how you find your own discernment, your own empowerment. And let's see Rachel if she has more question, and we'll take it to the part three. Sandra has a couple of questions very deep, especially about Anunnaki and those kind of fearful ET story, which Georgie will love. Rahuf might love also and participate in that. But we'll keep it to the part three and part four, and we continue those topics. I love those topics because it brings our empowerment and clear out the cloud, and we practice our own divine will and divine wisdom. Love you all. Thank you for participating. Thank you, Georgie. Beautiful talk. Thank you, Rahov. Beautiful talk. And thank you, Rachel, for coming and joining and mentioning that for part three and part four. Hopefully, if we have the time and we discuss them. I love you all. And if you have any comment, guys, from the community, know this videos for you, for your empowerment. Connect, share it with people. If you know some people are still afraid, let them get their own discernment. Let them they practice their own spirituality, their own presence, their own wisdom. and much love as always. Connect with you later, either on Monday or Wednesday. When next Wednesday is in, I think, in 2 weeks. The first of the month, every first of the month, we have the Wednesday of Unconditional Love Group Healing. It's a free contribution based energy practice of healing and group healing of unconditional love, and for the community to practice unconditional love project, their grid the field. We need always to keep empowering the field. And I remind this for the community to remind you also, every time you come, you join, don't only receive, be an active part, open up your channel, connect with it, and infuse your field. The more you do it, you will be a shining dot, you'll be recognized from up there, you will grow consciously. That's an important part. If you want to be pillar of light, you need to provide your presence, your active part. If you are just passive and just want to receive meditation, you are not becoming pillar of light. If it's not your concern, then it's fine. Come receive healing. But if your concern, if your direction to become pillar of light, you need to be active, bringing your pillar as an active part of the field of the community. Much love to everyone, and talk to you soon. Thank you, everyone. Love you.